I watched Bo Burnham's special Make Happy at a formative age, and I heard him say, if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it. And I thought to myself, I should absolutely buy a microphone and start a YouTube channel. That's the only rational conclusion. Hello, welcome to Chaos Central Books. My name is Claire, and today I'm starting a YouTube channel. I've been talking about books on the internet for half my life at this point. I started a Goodreads account in middle school, which I have since deleted. The current Goodreads account I use is not the one I've been using since I was a child. Had to delete that digital footprint, but I've been publicly posting about the books I read since I was 13, 12. I've been talking about books on the internet a long time. I started my Bookstagram account 4 years ago, and now here I am, because I have to find new ways to be publicly snarky about the books I read. All the new people who don't know me from Instagram, my handle over there is Chaos Central Books. I mostly talk about literary fiction, but I dabble in genre fiction here and there, some nonfiction, a little bit of everything. If you look at my account, not very good vibes over there recently. I've turned into a bit of a hater over the last few years. I haven't been enjoying the books I read, which is something I would like to change. If you watched the video I made with Cass last year, which was so much fun, had a great time doing that, you will see that my energy is not the best. Big hater energy, unfortunately. I don't know what happened. I have always loved reading. I still read every day, but I just don't like the books I've been reading. Would love to change that. Just crowdsourcing advice at this point. If you know how to fix that, let me know. I don't know what my issue is. I feel like I should be enjoying the books I'm reading, and I'm just not. And I don't know if that's because I have bad judgment or a bad attitude. Either way, something's gotta give. I feel like I'm an equal opportunity reader. I feel like any book I read, I have the opportunity to enjoy. Unfortunately, on average, not enjoying the books I'm reading. So I don't know if that's me reading the wrong books or me not reading properly. I don't know what the problem is. Honestly, in all likelihood, I am the problem. And we're just gonna have to live with that or find a way to fix it. It's been so long since I've read a book that I wholeheartedly enjoy, and low-key I've given up on finding a book that I can feel that way about again, which sounds a bit defeatist, but I'm just like trying to keep the expectations low. I would like to find a book that makes me feel something, anything, and hopefully talking about books and documenting it in this way will help me find that appreciation for reading again. Because like, this is my favorite hobby. Obviously, I've been doing it basically my entire life, and I don't know if I'm not reading books, who am I? Is that too existential? Maybe. Moving on. For all the Instagram people who are like, hey, where'd you go? Hey, sorry for disappearing for months on end. I was suffering. TLDR is that I deactivated my account in June because I was taking the bar exam and it was ruining my life, so I needed to get offline. The long story is I graduated law school in May, and then I sat hunched at my desk like a shrimp for 3 months preparing for the bar exam at the end of July, and it was bad. All of it was bad. The law school part was bad, the preparing for the bar exam part was bad, and the actual test taking part was, you guessed it, bad. And at this point, I'm just like putting it behind me and pretending to not be bothered about the results that I will not get until mid-October. So we're just kind of vibing until then, really leaning into escapism and distraction as a way to prevent worrying about the future. So yeah, I'll take whatever distraction I can get. It doesn't even have to be positive. Who cares about shooting for joy? Don't need that. Just need any sort of distraction. And if that means reading more bad books and talking about them publicly on the internet, that's what we'll do. So here we are. That's enough administrative yapping. That's what I've been doing. So now let's talk about what I've been reading while I've been suffering offline. I did manage to read a few books during that time. So let's just talk about them month by month. In June, I only managed to read 2 books, which sounds about right. The first of which is A Language of Limbs by Dylin Hardcastle. This was sent to me by the lovely people over at Dutton. Big thanks to them. I love this book as a physical object. I think it's really beautiful. I thought this book was well written. I thought it was super beautiful, lyrical, poetic, sometimes so poetic that I felt like an idiot. And that's kind of on me. I don't think I know any of these people aside from Ella Baxter. Weird that they blurb Ella Baxter as the author of Woo Woo. instead of new animal. Do people like Woo? Leave a comment. I'm a neck alley for Woo, so I didn't read it. I thought that cover was awful. Hot take. I thought this book was decent, a very promising debut. Dark at times that I wasn't expecting, so like if you are reading this, I would like maybe check into some trigger warnings, because there were actual moments of this where like my jaw was on the floor. It's told in a dual perspective, and I definitely appreciated one perspective more than the other at times. So like flipping back and forth between the two, I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting through one to get to the other. But very promising debut, and I really like the addition of Dylin Hardcastle's voice into the literary canon. Can I say things like that? I feel like I'm just talking nonsense. Next up, we have Our Evenings by Hollinghurst. I finished this in June, but I've been reading this for months at this point. This is a chunky book, and honestly, I feel like this is the type of book I should be reading and enjoying. I feel like I should be reading like tomes, like heavy, thick books. Unfortunately, I didn't really like this. This was sent to me by the lovely people over at Penguin Random House, and I love them, appreciate them, keep sending me books, even though sometimes I don't like them. Still appreciate them though. This gave me the vibes of To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara, which I did not enjoy. And so I think just those comparisons in the back of my mind maybe like influenced my perspective of this book. But I also thought it was doing a lot, and a lot of what it was doing was not done successfully. Some of it was, and yeah, I feel like we spent a lot of time on things that weren't important, and we glossed over some of the things that I was more interested to learn about. And those are my thoughts. Sorry. And that's the month of June. Only 2 books read, which is kind of par for the course this summer. Moving on to July, which is probably the most chaotic reading month I've had on record, which is saying a lot for me because chaos is in the name of the game. I started the month with The Mindful Way Through Depression because I was depressed. It says in the book literally to not read it while you're in the middle of an episode, and I ignored that advice because I was in the middle of an episode. Do with that information what you will. I thought this book was helpful. Yay, mindfulness. I listened to it on audio, which I thought was helpful because there's guided meditations included in the book. That's my thoughts on The Mindful Way Through Depression. Moving on, the second book I read was Harriet Tubman Live in Concert by Bob the Drag Queen. Are you sensing the chaos? I thought this book was fun. You can very clearly tell this was Bob the Drag Queen. Like, even if I didn't listen to it on audio, like, his voice shines through without a doubt. Here's what I will say. You can tell sometimes when, like, a celebrity writes a book, whether it be a memoir or something like this, that, like, maybe they don't read books. It's just the telling, not showing, you know? I thought this was fun. I would recommend it to people. It's so short, like, it's worth the read regardless. Next up, I read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I don't care what the internet has to say about John Green. I love that man. I love both the Green brothers. I will continue to listen to Dear Hanging John. I will continue to watch Vlogbrothers videos. I think they are valuable members of the internet, and I like their books. Sue me. I maybe don't revisit the John Green books of my youth, but his nonfiction work I feel like is excellent. I feel like his sincerity shines in everything he writes, and I really appreciate his perspective on the world. I probably prefer the Anthropocene Reviewed just like a tad more, but if he continues with the nonfiction, I'm fully on board. I will continue to read everything he writes. On to the last book I read in July, which was the Mobius book by Catherine Lacey. I love Catherine Lacey. I read Pew by her and really adored it. I was kind of ambivalent on the biography of X, but the Mobius book, fully back in the Catherine Lacey camp. If you're unfamiliar with this book, it's fiction on one side, nonfiction on the other, but you can't tell which is which. It's the coolest kind of publishing job I've ever seen. The spine is like fully reversible as well. This was sent to me by the lovely people at FSG. They also sent me the fiction nonfiction t-shirt, which so cool, very honored to have. Love the people at FSG for some reason putting me on their list. Is it a hot take to say I prefer the fiction side? I don't know. If you've read the Mobius book, let me know, fiction or nonfiction. That's the month of July. That's all I'm going to say about the Mobius book because I don't, in case you haven't realized, I don't give a synopsis of a book because I don't read a synopsis of a book going into it. So I'm not going to give information to people that I wouldn't want to have as a reader. So again, maybe that's my problem with reading, that I'm not doing research on books beforehand. I kind of go on vibes or prize lists. In my experience with a prize list, very hit or miss, which we will talk about at a later time. Moving on to August. The first book I read in August was Digital Minimalism, and I thought this book was fine. Some of it I thought valuable. And I say this as somebody coming back on the internet, so clearly it didn't have much of a point with me. What I will say is this guy talks a lot about Walden by Henry David Thoreau, which is not an authority to me. I will never respect that book or that man. So don't use that as like a reason to get me on your side, because it's not going to work. In fact, it's going to get me off your side. I'm going to ignore most of what you say after that point because I lose all respect for you. Anyway, the next book I read was The Compound by rawle. This was a digital arc I read from NetGalley by Random House. Thank you, Random House. Sorry, but I hated this book. Didn't like it. Wish I did. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what was delivered. I guess the reality TV I like, which is limited only to Survivor. More on Survivor later. This book was not about that. This was more about the dating reality TV shows, which I do not partake in. No offense to anybody who likes that stuff. I'm not saying I don't like it. I just don't watch it. Maybe I would like it if I do watch it. Sometimes, this is who I am. I'm actually not a movie or a TV person in general. I'm a YouTube person, which is why the only experience I have dating reality TV shows is watching like YouTuber commentary on the dating reality TV shows. So do with that information what you will. So yeah, I didn't like this book. I thought it was bad. I thought the ending was bad. And if you have thoughts on it, please leave a comment, because I'm confused by the people who like this book. And maybe that's too harsh, and I'm sorry. Moving on, next I read I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. I actually finished this on the same day I finished The Compound. Didn't like The Compound, didn't like this book either. Thought they both were bad. I don't understand books that are marketed as funny when they're just featuring a depressed character. Because I don't, like, that's not the humor that I find funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But this book was told that it was like funny and heartwarming and charming. And I didn't get any of those things, to be honest. I mostly just got not good. Sorry. This is why I feel bad about talking about books on the internet, because I'm not a nice person. Segue into the next book I read, which was Nice Girls Don't Win, How I Burned It All Down to Claim My Power. And I have to read that title because it's ridiculous. This is by Parvati, winner of Survivor Micronesia. I know so much about Survivor. I think about it all the time. Parvati's like not in my pantheon of like favorite Survivor players. Obviously I respect the game. I'm not going to talk down on Queen Parv. That's ridiculous. It is very evident to me that this book is a cash grab, and I don't blame her for that. Like, she literally says multiple times in the book how she needed money. Everybody tamper your expectations, whatever they are. If you're expecting a lot about Survivor, don't. If you're expecting vulnerability, don't. If you're expecting much of anything, don't. And that's kind of my take. Did I have a fun time? Yeah. Would I recommend this to people? Probably not. But girl needed the check, so good for her. The last book I read during this time is A Leopard-Skin Hat by Serre. This was longlisted for the International Booker Prize. Don't know if it made the shortlist or not. This book is 120 pages and took me months to read because I simply did not care. I tried so hard. I was like, oh, I can finish this in a day. I could not. It took me literal months of my life. And I will never think about it again. And that's kind of that. So as you can see, not so many hits, many misses, especially in the month of August. I have a lot of books on the docket that I'm hoping I will like better, and maybe I just need like a refresh. If I could like factory reset my brain, I think my life would be so much better. Maybe if I just go in with a really positive attitude that I create out of nothing, things will be better. We can hope. They can't really get much worse, if I'm being honest. So yeah, if you have a recommendation for a book you think I will like based on all of these books I didn't like, let me know. Or if you have a way for me to suddenly start liking books again, also let me know. Or if you disagree with all of my takes, let me know. If you're seeing this, it means I have at least one other video recorded, because the thought of posting this on the internet and expanding my digital footprint is haunting. I have such a fear of being perceived, and this is just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I think I want to talk about books in a way that makes me excited about books again. And that's kind of it. So hopefully this does that. And if not, I will delete everything and fade into obscurity, which is honestly what I think I'm meant to do anyway. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for sticking around and watching all of this. I don't know how you managed to do it, but I'm appreciative nonetheless. And I will see you next time. Bye.